Our transitioning to full-time RV living has provided us the ability to travel to many wonderful locations. This spring, we spent the majority of our time in the Colorado Basin, a truly beautiful and wonderful area of our country. Today, we venture into the aptly named Canyonlands National Park. Rivers within the park divided into 3 regions.
The most visited and the best known is the Island in the Sky. The one we traveled to is known as the Needles, and the last but not least is the Maze. Whereas the Island in the Sky offers wonderful top-down views across great expanses. In contrast, the Needles is best experienced through exploring its inner recesses. Seeing the Needles best involves undertaking some of its quintessential hiking choices or through exploring some of its great off-roading options.
Visiting Canyonlands is not as easy as most parks. Outside of camping, there isn't any way to stay within the park, and Moab is the nearest town with hotels to the park.
From Moab, you would access the Island in the Sky region, which, residing there, coincides nicely with also visiting Arches National Park.
We are staying in Monticello as we are traveling to the Needles. This requires traveling about 50 miles to reach the visitor center, which sounds like a lot of distance to travel, and it is. However, the drive there is also part of the experience of visiting Canyonlands, as the sights along the way are simply beautiful.
There's one up in the road waiting for us.
I know it. This one right here might do it too. Look at this one. He's like, you must stop. Look at it.
Shh. We've been trying to contact you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Because the park is divided by the Colorado and Green Rivers, there isn't a road that travels throughout the park. The single road into the section of the park we are traveling to is UT 211. Once you turn onto 211, it is a majestic 31 miles of road prior to entering the park, then another 3.5 miles before reaching the visitor center. Besides incredible landscapes, there are several hikes and points of interest to see before entering the park. We stopped at Newspaper Rock, and I strongly suggest this as a quick and worthy stop to make. Before there was Instagram, there was petroglyphs to share a story. Images on Newspaper Rock date as far back as 2,000 years. It contains nearly 700 images crafted by natives to the region in that time. Sadly, we understand the surface of the moon better than we know what is said within these petroglyphs. Much of the exposed rocks in Canyonlands was deposited near sea level and then shoved upward due to tectonic plate movement. Today, the average elevation here is over 5,000 feet above sea level, a significant uplift. As the area gradually rose, rivers that once deposited sediment on the lowlands began to remove it from the emerging plains. The Green and Colorado rivers began carving into the geologic layer cake, exposing buried sediments and creating the canyons of Canyonland. However, the rivers aren't the only force of erosion. Summer thunderstorms bring heavy rains that scour the landscape. Some layers erode more easily than others. As softer rock dissolves away, the layers of harder rock form exposed shelves, giving the canyon walls their stair-step appearance. Vacation photo.
The map.
Audrey, when they close the road, they put up big signs like this one.
Our first stop is always at the visitor center. For those locations where National Park Rangers are present, we get updates on the best trails to hike and if there are any items of note to avoid. Our visits conclude with Patty getting her passport book stamped. We have added getting lapel pins and hiking stick medallions to memorialize the parks we hike in. Patty constantly gets comments from people we meet on the trail on her backpack. The Needles District of Canyonland National Park exhibits various gaps in geologic time, seen as the stark contrast between the light tan and dark red-colored rocks in the Cedar Mesa sandstone.
weathering and erosion have since uplifted the Colorado Plateau and have sculpted the rocks into unique formations we see today. To reach our hike, we travel another 3.5 miles into the park to a parking lot at the very edge of the Needles campground. We are very lucky to grab the last parking spot within the lot. This location is a perfect spot to take in the many incredible hikes within this section of the park. Besides great hiking, the region also offers many off-road routes which allow deep access into the park. While our truck, Pearl, is a four-wheel drive high-clearance vehicle, we choose not to do this as we do not want to risk any damage to her drivetrain, as this truck is our sole mode of transport. While numerous different hikes can be made from the various trails here, we are taking the trail loop known as Squaw Canyon Loop. Note, should you choose to follow our path, the trail has been renamed by the National Park as it was seen as derogatory. I believe the new name is called Wooden Shoe Canyon. We take the trail in a counterclockwise manner, as climbing the highest ascent in this direction is preferable. At its peak, the ascent is a very steep 200-foot rise that can be extraordinarily challenging, if not dangerous. The entire region has very limited shade. Sunglasses and sun protection are strongly recommended. I opt for lightweight long sleeves, and many we come across on the trail are wearing the lightweight hoodies found today. We project the hike will require about 4 hours to complete. We have brought with us food for lunch, 64 ounces of water, and a basic medical kit. While portions of the hike are steep, we didn't bring walking sticks, as the climbing and descents are all rock and sticks are of limited benefit. While the trail is easy to follow, I still use a GPS to check our location on the trail. Note, a GPS is not perfect, and you can still be up to 50 feet off of where it thinks you are. The early portion of our hike includes a few treed sections. It is here that a limited number of primitive campsites are found. One must secure access to these sites through the National Park prior to pitching camp. Look for tent symbols on the National Park maps for specific locations. Letters and digits, such as CP1, will be next to the symbol denoting the specific site. There are a few streams within the area which offer water that can be purified for drinking purposes for those individuals making multi-day hiking trips. It certainly isn't necessary to conduct advanced study of the geology of a location which you are planning to visit. However, I do feel that a minimal understanding of the conditions aid in appreciating the sites that present themselves during the hikes. Here, the stratification within the layers shows clear separation between transformative events. Up to now, the trail has been well defined and an easy hike. We've only come across a few people, and we never saw any creatures larger than a lizard throughout the entire hike. We've knocked out about 3 miles and still feel pretty fresh. That's a good thing because we are about to come across the hardest part of this hike. I really love the wildflower called Indian paintbrush. The flowers are named for the clusters of spiky blooms that resemble paint bristles dipped in bright red or orange-yellow paint. They seem to really like it here as they are amazingly vibrant. We are close to midway through the hike now, and the trail is harder to follow here. The trail requires a bit of rock climbing as well as trail finding. Thank heavens I downloaded the map to All Trails.
Sounds good to me. Better to keep strength up. I have to find out what this valley is called. I'm sure this is named. But it's probably on the map. Wow, what an unbelievably beautiful spot. There goes my ride. No, it's the back screen. I'll eat that. There's an orange in there too.
No, there's those rollings. Yeah.
All right, waiter. What's for lunch, waiter?
The route we are taking passes through the saddle between the rock formations being pointed out. To the far right are a couple of people, so you get a sense of scale of what we are about to climb.
You don't want to wave? Just leave me behind. Just so long, buddy. That's it. You got me here. So long.
Climbing up is actually easier on a very steep incline than descending. You have much better control over the speed you are moving at. You just have to be sure to keep moving. As you can see, Patty is completely unaffected by height.
that's the trail. You just jump over that thing there. Yeah. And it's not far down, just a ways.
As is typical, Patty jumps over the crevasse, completely unconcerned about the height or the gap below us, and I walk around finding a safe spot to carefully get to the other side. This is the backside of the trail now, and we are beginning our trek home.
Wish I knew what those mountains were. And here's where we just came from. 7 miles before.
The last part of the trail gets a little bit swampy, and there's a fair amount of stagnant water that we end up crossing over, and we couldn't get out of this area fast enough. The end is in sight, but we are both pretty tired at this point and really feeling it. Just stepping down even a small amount is now a lot harder than it was a couple hours ago.
Beautiful canyon. That's a tired walk right there. 7.5 miles. We'll remove that from the video.
Heading back, we review the hike and we both agree it was a great day and a great hike. We each agree it was worth the effort, and the landscape and the scenery was just fabulous. Thank you for joining us as we hike this amazing trail in Canyonlands National Park. If you liked the video, please hit subscribe. Additional information about us and our travels can be found on our website at kenandpattystravels.com.